2. Hey, it's Thursday, March the 11th, 2021. This is another edition of Thursday Thoughts with Richard. Today, we're going to talk about something that's probably a taboo subject, toxic masculinity. It's a phrase that I hadn't heard until a couple of years ago, but I think it deserves a little bit of attention, a little bit of talk today, especially in our cancel culture that we're talking about lately. With a little bit of my background, I went to college. I have a biology degree. I studied a lot of anatomy, physiology, from everything from cellular level up to molecular. And so there's two genders. If that triggers you, I'm sorry. You can feel a different way, but biologically, scientifically, it's not disputable. There's two genders. You can have XX, XY chromosomes. That's about it. There may be some other mutations, genetic abnormalities there, but for all intents and purposes, we have two genders, and they're different. Men and women are different. Women physiologically can do things that I can't do, physically can do things that I can't do. They have way more estrogen than I do. I have more testosterone. So from just about every level, there's differences, and that's great. It's how it's supposed to be. So as a libertarian, I really don't care what you do. If you want to associate yourself or think that you're something else other than what you were born, completely within your right to do. I believe in civil liberties for everybody. So I probably trigger the left and right equally because I believe that everybody has the right to do what they want to do. That being said, I bring it up because I want to talk about toxic masculinity, the idea that there are traits that men put out there that are toxic. And I 100% agree that there are things that some men do that are toxic. You know, the definition it talks about is misogyny, homophobia, cultures that normalize sexual assault or domestic violence, and patriarchal societies that encourage bullying. You know, boys will be boys. Now, here's my take on it. I think that masculinity is inherently not a bad thing. I feel like I'm a pretty masculine guy. I grow a pretty nice beard, if you can see. Got too much testosterone, so I lost it all up here. But I feel like masculinity is not a bad thing. I think it's a necessary place in our, we have a necessary role in our families. But I also believe in a nuclear family that has a, solid core. With that being said, I don't feel that those things are masculine. Homophobia, misogyny, domestic violence, sexual assault, or encouraging boys to be boys. Those aren't masculine traits. They're toxic. So you got half of it right. You got the half right that says things are toxic, but don't blame it on masculinity, because in reality, this is what I'm going to tell you. It's lack of masculinity. The young men or the men that do those things aren't comfortable being masculine. So they have to project their insecurities, their self-doubt, their inconfidence in themselves onto other people through violence, through misogyny, through homophobia. True masculinity is confident. True masculinity is protecting. True masculinity is providing. True masculinity is hard enough to be soft. And so while the traits that they talk about with toxic masculinity are obviously I abhor and they are toxic, do not blame them on masculinity. They are an exaggeration of what somebody is projecting because they don't feel masculine. And the reason I bring up gender roles is because I think a lot of it is if boys don't grow up with fathers or father figures in their life that explain to them, that teach them, that show them what true masculinity is like, what they do is they fall back on what they see. They fall back on what they feel, which may be those traits that do not embody what true masculinity is and become toxic. I've heard people say about single moms, and God bless them, I will help out any family I can with a single mother who's doing it on their own. They're some of the hardest working, best people I've ever met in my life. But being a single mother, I've heard people say that, you're a father too, but you're not. And that's a hard thing because they're different roles. And it's hard to be all of that. So it's not your fault in that situation. Don't take me saying that at all. But when young men don't have that masculine figure in their life that can show them it's okay to cry, it's okay to love, it's okay to not be afraid of things that are different than you, then they default back on, I'm going to act what I think is uber masculine, which in fact is toxic, and do things that truly aren't. So the bottom line, what I want to say is I don't like this phrase toxic masculinity because I don't think that's what it is. It's toxicity, but it's lack of masculinity. What we need more of is men to be men, provide, protect, love, and do the things that we're called biblically to do as fathers as the head of household in a nuclear family, and lead the next generation of men to understand that masculinity is a good thing, and that you can be sensitive, and that you can feel emotion, and that you can be things that you think may not be masculine that truly are. I think Jordan Peterson has a quote that makes me think about this a little bit. It's a little out of context of this, but he basically says a nonviolent man isn't a good man. A good man is capable of extreme violence, but keeps it voluntarily in check. To me, that is masculinity, because I know that I can keep myself in check. I can keep my emotions at bay until the time comes that I don't need to anymore. If I had to protect my family, if I had to protect somebody who was unable to protect themselves, I know that at a moment I could do that, but it's not going to come out in an emotional rage because I'm insecure with myself in a toxic manner. And so we've got to quit acting like masculinity is a bad thing. Being toxic is a bad thing. Just something to think about today. I hope you got a little bit out of this. Leave me a comment, subscribe, leave me a 5-star review if you can. We appreciate it. Hopefully I didn't trigger you. If I did, I'm not really sorry about it. Y'all have a good day.